At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. And my guest this morning is Mr. Jide Ologun. He's a lawyer, he's a public relations practitioner. Indeed, he takes in human relations in his swing, and then he's vice president of Transformation Opportunity Providers. It's an NGO, that is an NGO. Mr. Jide Ologun, quite a number of talents and skills in there, but the reason we wanted you in here is the occasion of the reopening of the borders. We intend to take impressions on it because we happen to know that you've also paid particular attention to this, so we said, okay, now would be the time to hear it from you. 4 land borders have been reopened. Immediately, I think, was included in the word. It often happens like that, you get immediate. But for all the time that the borders were closed and our neighbors were not too happy about it, now it has been opened. Who do you think is going to be benefited most? Who is rejoicing? Our neighbors now are rejoicing. And when you take into consideration that one of the main reasons we closed our borders was to give, cut some slack, give a break to some of our own manufacturing and farming concerns. How do you see this reopening now?
I think to the business community, it's a cheering news, and to some of our neighbors who rely heavily on the flow of trade with Nigeria. Because we focus so much...
No, sorry, sir. Flow of trade is one thing. Transshipment, is that also part of the, the undercutting us?
They are all in the whole capsule. And I just want us to approach it one after the other.
Okay.
The focus was on Nigeria. But, for example, practically, if you visited a place like Okeari in Lagos, when the borders were open,
market in
you
Lagos.
See West Africans, business personalities flooding Nigeria to buy goods transported to Ghana, other parts of West African countries.
From market in Lagos.
Exactly. So, and that provided a huge business prosperity for Nigerians. So we did not just shut our borders against inflow. We also shut it against outflow. And now, let's go back to the foundation of all this. Before that policy was implemented, I expected that the government should have come up with an objective. If you look at the Peter Drucker template of management by objective, which means you have to set smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Okay, this is what we intend to achieve. But even before then, recall we endorsed the African Continental Free Trade, with at about 55 countries in Africa, with a combined GDP of about $2.4 trillion, and with a combined population of, I think, about 1.2 billion, which was to come out as the biggest free trade area in the world. But soon after we did that, we shut down our borders. But the federal government gave...
Even though we were a signatory.
Definitely. But it took a long time before we also endorsed. The AU had to persuade us and then... And the government now came up with this policy of closing down the land borders for some reasons. The principal reason was to prevent the inflow of ammunition into the country because of the rising insecurity in the country. And I'll be using that as a benchmark to evaluate the last 18 months or thereabout that we have shut our borders based on the smart objectives that we expected should have been set.
Okay, even above in industry concerns, our own markets, our own manufacturing, even security you put even before that objective.
The main concern of the government, I was monitoring it, was insecurity. There was a time we were shouting ammunition being important to Nigeria and things like that. Then secondly, to allow the farmers to grow local capacity, and perhaps the industrial sector. I use perhaps purposely because we have not even created the supportive infrastructure for the industrial development of this country. You will still have the electricity, the price of petroleum, the operational environment. All right, so we would have expected that if those things have been in place, the local industrialists would have leveraged on it. And again, I think it was a way to prevent smuggling also.
Okay.
Of some of the products in Nigeria, like petroleum product. For example, we rely to, I think, about 90% on oil and gas. And again, that also was already defeated even before shutting down the land borders, in the sense that this crude oil we have should have been best refined in Nigeria, if we're talking about local capacity. But we're exporting and bringing in at a premium. Today, you know the price of this product we bring back into the country. So by and large, we did not prepare to maximize the closure of the land borders.
You know, can I interrupt you here, please? And then I'll resume. And I asked that request because we have Mr. Joseph Atta also on the line. Mr. Joseph Atta is the customs spokesperson, the customs PRO. Good morning, Mr. Atta. Mr. Joseph Atta, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, then. Good morning. Yori Folani in studio here. And I'm alongside my guest, Mr. Jide Ologun. But great that you could come on. And we're talking about the news released yesterday by the Minister of Finance that the land borders have been partially reopened, meaning 4 only have been reopened. The minister did say by the end of the year, probably more would be open. So I wanted to ask you, sir, what is the impression from Customs? And by the way, your man, the Comptroller General of Customs, he was part of the committee that was headed up by the Minister of Finance that actually recommended to the President the opening of these borders. Now, is it your impression, sir, that we have actually achieved the aims for which we closed the borders in the first place?
Uncle Yari, if you recall the last time I was with you in your studio there, I did tell you that since the closure of the land borders, there have been diplomatic engagements, the ones that ECOWAS got involved. You recall the Ouagadougou ECOWAS meeting that dealt seriously on the issue of the land border. I did also tell you about the tripartite meeting involving the customs administrations of Niger, Benin, and Nigeria. Then I said we are at a stage where the government is taking a look at the outcomes of all these diplomatic engagements. Of course, as you know, engagements such as this will involve addressing the concerns that necessitated the closure in the first place. What were those concerns? As your guest rightly alluded to some of them, from the custom angle, the fundamental issue was that of non-adherence to the ECOWAS protocol on transit, which gave birth to some of the issues that your guest just mentioned now, where he talked about the illegal importation of arms and ammunition, activities that are negatively impacted on our agriculture and all that. But as a customer, let me tell you, the fundamental issue that gets back to all those things he's talking about is the non-adherence to the ECOWAS protocol on transit. And what is it about? The ECOWAS protocol on transit mandates every receiving country to escort in its original form, without tampering with the seal, goods that arrive your shore that are destined to a neighboring country. But over a period of time, our neighbors found it overall convenient and, again, I dare say profitable, not to adhere to those to that dictate. A lot of engagement, a lot of MOUs were signed right from the time of the Obasanjo up till at the time when the current government said, look, enough is enough. And I have you know that at a point, what they came up with was that, oh, you are a big brother. You know, we are not as strong, as rich as you are. We don't have the escort vehicles. We bent backwards and assisted them with brand new vehicles to help them carry out their obligations. They did what looked like compliance for 1-2 weeks and, drainage and did not continue. Don't even ask me if they return those vehicles. So at a point, the government has to say, look, enough is enough, because this activity made border security near impossible. So many things were coming in, so many things that are supposed to come in intact for our borders to be properly examined will be broken at their own end, transloaded, and you never get to know the ones that pass through the bushes, the ones that... So it was those situations that get back to...
Mr. Atta, could I get a word in? As you know, the borders, 4 borders have been reopened, but the ban on the importation of certain items, rice is in there, is rice and poultry, to remain. In view of the challenges that you are enumerating right now, I wanted to ask if you think much is going to be different, or there's going to be a return to business as usual. You know, unfortunately, sometimes our people being as they are.
Exactly, that's what I was just at the point to hit on that when you interjected. Yes, the diplomatic engagement meant bringing these issues to the table and neighbors committing to strict adherence to some of these things going forward. Another key one that we achieved was that, look, there was need for us to share intelligence, there was need for us to establish connectivity from both sides. They should also, especially I know that came out of the tripartite meeting, that I can say for sure, which we have achieved, was that, look, you have to also establish a joint border drill at your own side. We have also a joint border drill at our own side. Going forward, give us your own prohibition list. We give you our own prohibition list, so that what you do not want to come to your own side, it is our duty to ensure at this side that it does not come in. We don't engage in an activities that make your own enforcement near impossible. You don't engage also in activities that appear as if you are aiding and abetting and making our own difficult. So all this engagement got to that point, and I can tell you with certainty that has been established. They have, just 2 weeks ago, at Kongolam border in Katsina State, the border drill of Niger Republic and our own got the net, and modalities have been put in place. And
because Mr. Atta, I was just going to ask you about that. How prepared, or are you well prepared? I wonder if this meeting, the announcement following the announcement of the president's decision, if it caught you unawares, but I don't think it should, seeing as your man, the Comptroller General, was part of the committee that actually recommended to the president. So I guess my question is, are you well prepared for this reopening? Because things have been, different for a long while.
This announcement couldn't have caught us unawares, because we are part of the process that led to the whole thing. All the engagements, customs have been part of it. Some of those challenges that we experienced in the past, we have brought to the table for discussion, commitment obtained, and all that. So it's something, it's a gradual walk to this. I dare say that we break the tape.
All right.
We just hope that those commitments that have been obtained will be adhered to. And I think the period of border closure have also taught us 1 or 2 lessons.
Okay, Mr. Joseph Atta, I want to thank you very much, sir. I want to thank you very much for making time for us this morning and coming on and speaking about the land borders reopening. Thank you very much. Okay, well, first of all, I see you smiling, and I'm interpreting it as a good sign.
Good.
It's good that I'm thinking that you're smiling is a good sign, because, Mr. Atta, there are explain some of the aspects that you also, I know we're going to speak on, the diplomatic aspects of all of this and are reaching this compromise, because that is what it is. It's not as if all our land borders were flung open, just 4 of them, and nothing is really, well, I won't say nothing has changed. Those items that were under importation ban remain.
You know, you cannot rule out the fact that Nigeria is a big brother in Africa in terms of our population, our endowment, and all these issues. And we've just shown the sign now that we can shake the environment a bit. But my concern is that what have we benefited?
Okay.
You know, we've spoken about compliance. You need to have a system in place that is effective, whether your borders are shut or not. So can we guarantee now that those who are expected to man our borders will be effective?
Mr. Atta, fortunately we got him. He was speaking about ongoing drills, that there have been drills and there are ongoing drills. He was giving the impression that, and he said specifically, this could not have caught us unawares. Yeah,
in public relations, when you embark on a campaign, you do the pre-campaign evaluation. When the campaign is on, you evaluate, and post-campaign. So let's do when we locked the borders, there were reports, not even denied by the government, that some of these borders were, the smugglers were still operating, carrying goods across, rice and all those things. And I was going to talk about the help it was supposed to present to the farmers.
Okay, you know, let's do that as soon as I come back from this commercial break. The help that this would have done to the farmers if, indeed, advantage had been taken of the opportunity. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back, and Mr. Jide Ologun is still with us. Now, when these kind of things happen, first of all, that we close the borders, and now that we have opened up the borders again, there's a lot of administration, maybe theory, maybe, you know, guidelines and all of that. Oftentimes, it could differ from what actually is achieved on the field that you are planning, strategizing, theorizing about. To what extent do you think that kind of a thing might have happened in this exercise here?
So that's why we need to pay time on evaluating while the borders were closed. Let's take the agricultural aspect. It was also to allow the local farmers to really run. But when you look at what we call the economic environment of Nigeria, that was also frustrated. We have accounts of a certain number of farmers. They were murdered in Borno State recently. So how well have we been able to produce locally? So you now find that the security that is required for prosperity is not there. So we are diversifying.
Can that be linked? I'm just curious that you brought up the event, the unfortunate event in where was that?
In Maiduguri, Borno State.
In Borno State. I thought that was a terrorism-related action, and this is much more. After all, this came via the Minister of Finance. This is a different kettle of fish altogether. In
economics, they are not different, you see, and in national development, they are not different. If you look at the motto of Nigeria, it says that unity and faith. So if there is no unity, there cannot be faith in Project Nigeria. Peace and progress. So we are just trying to link it now. That, okay, the closing down of the borders afforded the farmers the opportunity to proceed and maximize their productivity. But then we have the insecurity that frustrated that opportunity. Apart from that, we have deliberately, in quote, remained at the primary level of agroeconomy. Do we have the electricity to process what we harvest, preserve, that we may even start exporting? Uncle Yori, don't forget that we attempted exporting yam out of this country, and it was a huge embarrassment. So we really need to focus on building local capacity.
Okay, one moment, please. Let me hear it from Mr. Babangida calling in from Adamawa State. Good morning, Mr. Babangida.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead,
How are you,
please.
sir?
Please go ahead.
Uncle Yori, border has opened, good. But Uncle Yori, what I'm afraid, please, we should tell the custom people, now the border is open. But you know, we should remember, what makes our country now, we are running into problems is because of corruption, Uncle Yori. Honestly speaking, let me tell you, forget about that. You are staying in the border, you are making money to build 2-bedroom flat. At the end of the day, this is why you see we are in trouble in this country. We have to do the needful. It's not by the opening the border, Uncle Yori. We have to be very careful and checkmate what is coming inside so that our economy should not be destroyed. They should not start importing rice now because we are farmers. And now we are doing dry season farming and they open the border. Please, what we are begging the government should not discourage us, please. We are making our own money now.
But Mr. Babangida, Mr. Babangida, did you hear the PRO of Customs say that they are up to the task? They have been going through drills. They are ready for this event. And indeed, all those things that you are saying, it would seem to me that the customs people are mindful of those things and indeed intend to bring them to pass, as we heard from Mr. Joseph Atta, Customs PRO, earlier in the program.
Yes, I heard him, Uncle Yori, but remember, this is Nigeria. This is Nigeria.
Okay.
This is Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. That says volumes. Let's explore your statement. Let's explore it a bit. Thank you very much. Upon all that we are saying, upon all the grammar that we are saying, let me just take that last sentence from Mr. Babangida. This is Nigeria. It's pregnant. So the technocrats and all the experts can come ahead and strategize. And I was talking about the link between the theoretical and the pragmatic, the actual. Now, Mr. Babangida seems to be nodding in that direction. Say, this is Nigeria.
Yeah. I alluded to it, and that was what I said.
Because he's implying there that with all those beautiful ideals, he mentioned the word corruption, so I'm going to link it up. I think it's all coming back to sincerity of purpose and how serious are we with these efforts.
And effectiveness of implementation.
Yes.
Even without your borders being shut, you can control your borders. I recall I and my wife, we almost missed our flight from Abu Dhabi to New York just because of apples. Because from Abu Dhabi airport, you do your border control and checks into the US, you just get to New York, roll in your bag. And they saw us with apples. They had to recall our bags and things. So you find countries that have effectively secured their environment from external invasion. I mean, some of us could have heard about the isolationism of China and Japan. All right? These two great nations decided that we need to protect our society from external influence, culturally, economically, and they have succeeded. Indeed. And that is why you see China today is a huge giant in the economic environment. So they developed the local capacity while keeping the external forces at bay. Japan did the same. What have we done? You look at the resilient economies around the world, Denmark, New Zealand, you know, Germany. At one point or the other, you must develop local capacity. Can we claim that we have developed? Even at a time, sir, you know, we went borrowing food from ECOWAS, despite the fact that we intended to enhance our productive capacity in the agricultural sector. So for me, we have not benefited more.
Let me ask Mr. Sebastian Offrum. I beg your pardon. I'm sorry about the additional name I added. Mr. Sebastian in Abuja. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
My question is, what did we achieve by closing the border? Have we been able to say, we've achieved this or achieved that? We are very much aware that the government made mention of the security concern was one of the reasons why for closing the border. Have we really achieved security? Do we achieve that? We still have illegal weapons, arms all over the country. Every part of Nigeria, almost 36 or 32 states in this country, there's violence, criminals, kidnappers everywhere. Second, that for me, the problem we have is not about closing the border. The problem is who are those manning this border. As your last caller
Babangida in Adamawa.
Yes, corruption is our problem. My brother, you can leave the border open, provided you have the right people, right attitude, men who are more interested in our country, who can do that. Who can do that. So the whole idea of you close the border, as long as I'm concerned, the border was closed. You still have rice flying over Nigeria. You will see foreign rice in every market in Nigeria.
Okay.
Where did rice come from? But you say it's foreign rice. Where did they come from?
Okay.
Bag of rice in Abuja is sold around 30-something thousand naira. There in Sokoto or Katsina, is sold almost around 13,000 naira. So, my brother, let custom wake up to the responsibility. Custom should wake up for responsibility because these guys are the ones milking this border, making a huge amount of money, building upstairs and spending so much money, lavishing everything.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Sebastian in Abuja. The point you made, Mr. Joseph Atta, actually, not just this morning, but also when he came on our program earlier, referring to the point he made about rice, seeing imported rice locally. Mr. Atta's impression was that our refinement level has gotten such that he wouldn't be surprised if some people were not mistaking locally produced rice with that. You're smiling again. You're smiling again, Mr. Logan. Okay. In closing now, please, to just wrap it up. The borders have been reopened. That's going to be exciting to some. Licensed customs agents have, bemoaned the fact that they've been jobless all this while. But you say we need to watch it with great care to see if things are going to return to the way they used to be, or indeed, as everybody is saying, customs is able to stand in the gap effectively.
You see, border control needs effective monitoring and sincere monitoring, whether the borders are open or not. And that should be done. Okay. And that touches on the system we operate. Okay. And that is why Mr. Babangida referred to this is Nigeria.
This is Nigeria.
Can we claim that some personnel of those who are supposed to man our borders will not compromise for personal gains at the expense of national interests? Those are issues. And to the government, can we build local capacity? Will it hurt anybody if there is constant electricity in Nigeria, Uncle Yori? Will it hurt anybody if our refineries are functional? Yeah. Like the about 135 refineries in the USA. Will it hurt anybody if the inflation rate is brought down? We have not even considered the fact that the inflation rate, the price of food went up because of this land border closure. We have not even discussed how Ghana treated Nigerians who are business persons in Ghana there, and how they embarrassed us with the embassy building. Exactly.
As you were saying, all these things are related.
International relations. How well have we done?
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we must close. But what I seem to be getting from what you're saying is that even though the borders have been reopened, there is much work to be done if indeed we want to claim or reap those benefits we inferred.
Absolutely.
When we took this action.
And I will anchor it on two sections of the Constitution. If you read Section 15, subsection 5, of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it says that the state shall abolish corruption and abuse of office. If that is achieved, our system will flow. And Section 16 says we should harness our resources in a way that we have sustainable development, great welfare for the people. This is the greatest nation in the world. If you talk about resources, but we need resourceful management of our resources to excel. So we wish Nigeria the best, but we must be deliberate.
Even though you were crashing our timelines, I had to let you say that so as to be self-encouraged, and so that for everybody else to be encouraged about the potential of Nigeria, if, as Mr. Babangida put it, we remember not to carry on as if this is Nigeria and all the connotations of such a sentence. Okay, so thank you very, very much for coming on, Mr. Jide Ologun, VP Top Foundation. Indeed, I like that. God bless Nigeria. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back.